Hello there. Namaste. It is October 19th, 2020, and we are currently going over the recap for Digital Academy class today in Ms. Perdomo's fifth grade magnet class. So we still have on the page here for the STEM challenge the activity to complete the parachute design, which is due this Friday. Students have the choice of either presenting it on Zoom to me and I can quickly grade it, or by presenting it on the STEM challenge activity page here. They just click on the link and it takes them to where they enter in their work. Remember, the things that I'm looking for are the blueprint. I'm looking for a picture of the blueprint. I'm looking for the cost of how much they spent on materials. I'm looking for what materials they ended up using in their final prototype, and if there was any challenges during the activity at all. So today's Monday. We have a different schedule, which was the most important thing I tried to get through during our morning meeting, is that our schedule has changed, and it's changed for the better. So we started our morning with our morning meeting. We are learning how to say hello in Hindi, so it is namaste. And then in our ELA time from 8 to 9 o'clock, we were talking about the chapters 9 through 10 that students read on Friday, and then we read out loud from Reading Street a story called At the Beach. We're focusing on the skill of comparing and contrasting characters and setting, which we're going to do through the story At the Beach, through Florida Ready, and then next week as we talk about Esperanza Rising. We then read chapters 11 through 12 on their own of Esperanza Rising, and they answered 3 questions that I had for them on the comprehension check. Now, we have written 2 informative essays. The first informative essay that we wrote was about who do you admire, giving reasoning why you admire that person. The second essay that we wrote was about women in the American Revolution, where they had 3 passages that they read, and then they had to write about why women were important during the American Revolution. So those 2 essays now are complete and have been graded. The second essay, which is about women in the American Revolution, is due today, so I can begin grading those and putting those into the grade book. There will be a third and final essay, which will be about Esperanza Rising and how Esperanza's character has changed over time in the story, how she changes from beginning, middle, and end of the novel. Now, because this essay requires them to have read the story, I'm giving them an additional set of days to make sure that this is accomplished. So they should have already read the novel and they should be done with it by tomorrow. But if you're a slow reader and if you needed more time, this essay is not going to be due until Friday, October 30th. So they're going to have more than a week. They're going to have a week and almost close to 2 weeks to complete this essay about Esperanza Rising. And it's going to be a graded essay in the grade book, and it will not go in as classwork. It will go in as a mini assessment, because I'm not only assessing their ability to write an informative essay at this point, but I'm also assessing their ability to read the novel like they were required to do. So that is what we'll be working on as the Esperanza changes over time. Now, something that I shared with the students today is a helpful resource. Let me bring that up for you. So approximately 4 hours ago, I shared with the students that their Esperanza Rising essay, which will count as a mini assessment, will be due October 30th. They have the entire ebook rather than in short pieces like they've had on Canvas, so they can go back to any part in the story to help them in their planning. And then I also provided them with a helpful essay organizer as well as transitional phrases. So when you open up the essay organizer, it reminds you that your introduction needs to include a hook to grab the reader's attention and also state the topic and the big ideas that you're going to use to explain your topic. Then you can have 2 to 3 body paragraphs, but the paragraphs need to introduce a big idea. There should be a quote or a fact that comes paraphrased from the novel. Like, for example, when Esperanza Rising, or when Esperanza is doing this part in the story, she is showing that she is being selfish. And this is why you can see towards the end of the story that her character changes. So you should have some kind of fact that is quoted or, again, paraphrased with, for example, and then back it up. What does that mean? Why did you put the quote there? What does it tell us about her character? Then you can give us another quote or another part from the story paraphrased, like in addition to, and then again, back it up. What does it mean? Why did you use that particular quote? And then the concluding sentence should refer back to the main topic and rephrase the main idea. This is not the first time that we're seeing what makes a body paragraph. This is the 3rd time that we've seen what makes a body paragraph. So we should be pretty familiar with what that looks like. Now, I have done the exact same for all 3 bodies. Again, it can be 2 to 3 body paragraphed essay, but it needs to have an introduction and it needs to have a conclusion. The conclusion then brings all the ideas from the essay together. It relates it back to that thesis statement. There's no new facts that are coming in the conclusion paragraph, and you can end it with a quote, a question, or an interesting thought. Just like you try to grab the reader's attention, we're trying to sum up the reader's attention for this essay. So what I've also added for them are some sentence stems that can help them, such as like the author tells the reader that, or another trait Esperanza exhibits is, or something Esperanza does that gives the reader a glimpse of her personality is. So those are some important sentence frames that I've shared with them. I've even given them other words they can use other than the author says or the author states. It can be the author remembers, the author utters, the author announces. You can use all different kinds of words. And then I also provided the students with, again, more transitional words that they can use inside of their writing, because the transitional phrases are what's going to improve your writing from a level 3 to a level 4, from a B to an A. Okay, so those were helpful or essay organizing things that I shared with the students. In addition to that, I also shared with them writing hooks, as well as conclusion sentences, writing conclusions, different ways that they can end their story, as well as more transitional phrases. So they have a lot of resources at their fingertips. They just need to use them, which is why I'm giving them over a week to create this essay. So that ends where we were at on talking about what we focused on today during our language arts time. We had lunchtime on our own. During our tech time, because the Monday, it can be either a social studies time or it can be a tech time, depending on what our need is. So we've decided, since I've decided that we've covered a lot of the social studies content, I've decided to take the time for tech, which we need it for, so that students can get the 20 minutes of iStation. So it shouldn't be that we're only doing iStation for the ISIP, which is the monthly assessment. We need to actually put in time into iStation. It would be like only exercising on the day that you're going to be weighed. You have to do exercise in between. So the students have to do some time on iStation, which they can access every single day. They could be doing 20 minutes of iStation Monday through Friday, but I am only assigning them one day on Monday to get that 20 minutes of iStation in. Once they were done with their 20 minutes of iStation, I wanted them to get onto Achieve 3000, which is another research-backed program, which is going to help them in their reading ability. So for Achieve 3000, there are two ways that you can access it. The first way is by going to your portal and accessing the fifth box, which is supplemental resources, and clicking on the icon for Achieve 3000. That will automatically sign them in, and they'll get a welcome message or an error message. If they get the error message, then they're going to actually go to the internet and type in Achieve 3000, which there's only one website, achieve3000.com. You'll click on the link to Achieve 3000, and then you'll have to log in through their website. So just close out the pop-up, and at the very top of the screen where it says login, click on login. Now, the username is going to be the same for each student, and then the password is going to be the same for each student. So for the username, it is ACPS, their first initial for their first name, and their first initial for their middle name, and then their last name. So for example, it would be ACPS, my first name is Riza, my middle name is Danielle, and my last name is Perdomo. Now, if for any reason you're having problems with the username, if you just message me, I have a list of the usernames here, and I could just message you and let you know what your username is. All of the passwords are going to be exactly the same. The password is ABC, all lowercase, 1, 2, 3. So this is another way for you to sign into Achieve 3000 if the original way of going to the portal and clicking on the icon did not work for you. So once you sign into Achieve 3000, it is going to do a level set, which is essentially a reading test to determine what is your reading level, what is your Lexile level. And it's important because they're going to continually see their Lexile level grow. And it also tells them in the video I shared with them today, if you want to become a doctor or a teacher or a firefighter or whatever profession you're looking for, there is a set level that those textbooks are going to be at in college. And you want to be able to read at that level by the time that you get to college so that you can pass those classes and get to the career or job of your choice. So Achieve 3000 is going to help them see the real reason for why we practice reading and how important it is to be at a Lexile level that you can understand middle school, high school, and college material. So that's what we worked on during our social studies time or our tech time today. We then had time for homeroom PE, which is just another way of saying recess, getting that 30 minutes of physical activity every day. We had math time. In my math class, we were talking about multiplying in different ways, partial product, using the lattice method, or then using standard algorithm. Most students find it faster and easier to use standard algorithm, but I do like to present different methods because maybe one of them might stick with you because you're more of a visual learner and you might make more sense to you. It might take a few more seconds, but it's about your comfort and about making sure that you can do math fluently. We also talked about why it's important to estimate your answer and ask if your answer is reasonable, because no matter what your job is, if has to do with math, it usually has to do with either money or it has to do with somebody's life. And you want to make sure that no matter what you're doing, your math is precise. And so the only way that you can make sure that your math is correct is by asking yourself, is my math answer reasonable? Not just writing an answer down and walking away from it, but really checking to make sure that the math is correct and that you're within the reasonable answer. If not, you've done it wrong, and that should be an alarm for you. I wouldn't want my doctor to give me the wrong type of prescription or the wrong amount. That kind of mistake could mean a real problem. I wouldn't want the person working on the engine of the airplane to be wrong in their math. I'd want them to know what they're doing so that my life or my health is not in jeopardy because of a mathematical mistake. And that could even have to do with money, your own money. By making a mistake like that, it could be very costly. We then had a brain break from 12:30 to 12:45 as we got ready for our schedule change, which is now we go to STEM lab in the afternoons on Monday and Tuesday. So today they were working on weather from 12:45 to 1:45 with Miss Gatson in her classroom. At the very end of the day, we filled out our planner. And in our planner, which is when now I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. In the planner, we filled out that we took a break from spelling and from vocabulary for a week. So we're back on to spelling and vocabulary. So today we wrote down that our vocabulary homework is going to be due by the following Monday. They have the whole week and the weekend to work on it, but by Monday it should be ready to be turned in, and that's in their email. The Women in American Revolution essay is due today, anytime today, but due today. The Esperanza Rising, we read chapters 11 through 12, and we also read through At the Beach at Reading Street. We did not finish that story, so that will carry on till tomorrow. Our spelling is all focused on digraphs. Digraphs are like SH, TH, WH, GR, PH. Those are digraphs. So all their spelling words will have digraphs in them. I suggested they do a pre-test, which is going over all the spelling words now, so they can figure out which words they actually need to practice and study for the week. I also mentioned that having the students do the challenge words and having it as an extra credit bank has really paid off for a lot of students. So I highly suggest that everyone attempt the challenge words, so at least maybe you get 2-4 extra points, but if you don't attempt them, it doesn't help you at all. So really prepare yourself this week to try those challenge words. In math, my 5th graders have pages 161 and 162. And my 6th graders do not have any homework because they're taking a test tomorrow. Again, we went to STEM lab. We have some science homework for the first time this week. The science homework is going to be due by Monday of next week. It's all about clouds. So let me pull that up very quickly. So the science homework is going to be a link that takes them to Mystery Science where they're going to watch a video, which I'm not going to play for you right now. So the video is going to take them a little bit of time. And then the activity is for them to open up specifically about storm spotting and looking at skies to figure out what is the cloud determining and telling you. You can use the drawing tools in here, and then they can share their work with me once they're finished. So that's everything that we've done in this very busy Monday. If you have any questions or concerns, please email me. And thank you so much for watching this recap. Have a marvelous Monday.